The post-Christmas bills are about to come flooding in, aren't they, on the credit cards? And we are pretty much all broke and in need of extra cash and just a feeling of joy, because this is January and it can be a bit all doom and gloom and bleak. So joining me, as always, this time is our consumer expert, Eoin McGee of Prosperous Financial, who claims that he can save us up to €1,000 in 60 minutes. And if you have a bit more time, maybe even more than that. Eoin, Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you too.
Are you telling me that if I go away and do what you tell me to do for an hour later on today, I could save myself £1,000?
The point of this wasn't that you do what I tell you to do, because what I tried to do here, the rules of engagement for me here was I wasn't allowed to use any industry experience or any industry contacts. I just had to sit down at the internet and work it out for myself and pretend that I didn't know anything about anything.
Okay.
And we used a fictitious couple. So I used a 42-year-old male, 42-year-old female living in Naas. They have a €320,000 house with a €200,000 mortgage on it. They've €1,500 on the credit card. They've a little bit of savings, about 10 grand in savings, and he drives a 2009 BMW.
All right, so they're every man and every woman. There's families like that all over the country.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so what I did then was I said, right, I set the task. I have 60 minutes to do this. So we did do this last year, and we have the results up online from last year. But I went kind of 90 minutes last year and I saved a bit of money, but I said, no, this year I'm sticking to the 60 minutes and I'm going to do it in the 60 minutes.
You nearly set a stopwatch and you went online and went, I'm going to look at this, this and this and this aspect of this fictitious couple's lives and see where I can save the money.
Exactly. So we started with home insurance.
Okay.
Right. So home insurance, I was actually really worried because I started comparing the prices, started looking at one to the other, and they were so close, like incredibly close. I was looking at a couple of euros and the difference over the space of a year, kind of 410, 420 euros or 420, 430. They were really close together, and I was kind of worried this is a bad start now because I'm going to save this couple no money. But we did find someone who was up closer to the €500 mark, and it was an interesting process because one of the fears you have is I ultimately ended up with one quote for 422 and another quote for 498, and they were two extremes. And my fear was I'm not sure, even with my professional hat on, and we don't do home insurance in Prosperous, but was I comparing like with like?
Yeah.
So it's very confusing. You're really kind of going, it's kind of a similar price, so it must be a similar type contract. But still, there was a saving to be had, and if the house burns down, this couple will have their house rebuilt and they'll have 30 grand of contents thrown at them too. So it was an interesting one. So home insurance, we were able to save €76, but it took me 25 minutes to do that, which was a big chunk of my hour.
But you know, if you extrapolate 25 minutes as a third of an hour, that's still you're earning over 200 quid. Now it's over the course of a year, but over 200 quid an hour for that hour.
Yes.
If you kept going at that pace.
Absolutely. But the other thing that was frustrating about the home insurance, and I found this with the home, the car, the life, all the different insurance online, when you got into them, some of them you give loads of details and they, thanks very much, call you later, give you your quote then, and that was frustrating.
Yes.
That was kind of, oh god, okay,
you
right, let's get in this. So really what I did find is that there was one or two companies that were really good at this, that gave you the quotes, made it simple, made it easy, and I kept being drawn back to them, and fair play to them companies because they obviously put a lot of money into their online presence and therefore made it much easier, and you'll find them really easy. They put a lot of money into Google as well. You'll find them really, you don't need to give them a plug because they will find it really easily. So then I went on to car insurance, and the car insurance I took a 2009 BMW. I believe it's a 1.82 litre diesel. I got a reg off somebody, so you have to put a reg in. I put a reg in, and we checked the price of the car insurance. Now, I expected to be a huge differentiation here in the rates, and that's what I got. The cheapest one I got was €650. Now, this guy's a clean driver. We only took his car. Clean driver, no claims discount, no accidents, no problems whatsoever, no points. €650, the cheapest I could get. But €2,234 was the most expensive. Now, can you imagine the poor bloke who just goes along, oh, my insurance has gone up to 2,234. I must take that. Like, that's incredible. Now, to be fair, it was an outlier. Most of them were kind of 700, 800, 900, even €1,000, and then it was a big jump to this €2,200.
Okay.
So I thought it would be unfair to take the full 2,200. So what I took there was one in the kind of mid-range, was around 843. One of the things I learned throughout the year, and this is putting my financial advisor hat back on, we had a client, and although again we don't do car insurance in Prosperous, we kind of farm it out. We had a client and we put them in touch with someone. We got a significant reduction in their car insurance, and I went back to the broker in this case and I said, how did that happen? What's happened? They said, because the competition there's a lot of money in premiums and everything in the market over here. There's a lot of international players are looking at this market saying, I think we might just test the waters. There's some good premiums to be had, but rather than going direct to the consumer, so setting up branches and doing all, they're going through the big brokers.
So you may get savings through a car insurance broker that you wouldn't by just going and Googling yourself.
Yes, because but you might Google it yourself and happen to land on that broker's website and get access to these insurers.
I've never used a broker on car insurance.
Okay, and this is interesting because you might get your car insurer. These insurers are only distributing through maybe 5 or 10 big brokers, and these guys can get significant discounts if you're dealing with the right brokers.
So how much did you save there when you?
In that one we had €193 in 15 minutes.
All right, so we've spent, what have we spent? 40 minutes now. We've got 20 minutes left. We've already saved not 260, 270.
Yeah, you keep totting it up there.
I will. Yeah.
Life insurance then. This is an area we specialise in, so this was really frustrating. Ultimately, we saved €110 in 10 minutes. Not bad at all. But what I found frustrating about it is the websites presented it as one option. Okay, you type in, I want 100 grand whatever I've covered, this is the option. But knowing my industry knowledge, which I wasn't allowed to apply on this, I'm kind of going, but for a slightly bit more. So let me just give you a very simple example. There's a difference between joint life and dual life. Joint life means if you and I have a policy together. Joint life means if one of us dies, they pay out and the policy's finished. Right?
Okay.
Dual life means if I die, say both of us died in the same car accident, they'll pay out on you and on me. Or if I die first, they'll pay out me and the cover will continue on you. So dual is twice the cover, effectively, the same amount on you as on me, whereas joint life only pays out once. And you pay a fractional amount more per month, a couple of quid month more, so just to have twice as much.
Detail there.
Yes.
Okay.
And this is where the online can sometimes get you caught out. But we did save, even ignoring that knowledge, we did save 110 quid in 10 minutes, €109.
Okay, but we're up to 50 minutes now, and all we've saved is we're heading towards €400.
This is where we pull the big guns out. So now we went for the mortgage. I went for the jugular and I said, right, the mortgage is going to be the one. We're in an environment now where our banks charge us 2.2% more on a variable rate than the European banks. There's huge political pressure. The tracker scandal has them under PR pressure as well. Surely since last year, rates have dropped dramatically compared to when I did this exercise last January. They haven't. Not at all, right? So the most expensive rate on the market last year was 4.3%. The current most expensive rate is 4.2%. So
0.1, nothing.
Yes. The cheapest on the market last year was 3.1. The cheapest on the market now is 2.95.
Okay.
There's very, very little difference between the two. The rates haven't moved. Sorry, there's a huge difference for our customer, for our fictitious couple who are going to be able to save. Wait till you hear this one. They're going to save, it's about €1,500 a month is what they're going to save. It's €1,536 in the first year.
€1,500 in a year if they move their mortgage.
If they move,
we should all move our mortgages.
And you know what? You might say, but you have to pay for solicitors and you have to pay for valuations and everything. The companies who are offering the 2.95%, and I'm not giving them a plug, the 2.95%, they will actually give you €2,000 if you move your mortgage to them to cover those fees.
Oh wow!
And you should get.
You're going to tell me off air. I'm going to find out who they are.
So it's €1,500 that they would save in the first year. Now let's put this in perspective. That's 31,000, just under €31,000 in the 20-year term of that mortgage,
which is even much more significant than saving $1,500 this year. So over the course of your lifetime of this mortgage, a saving if you moved from the dearer to the cheapest, 31,000.
31, and that's on a 200,000 mortgage. The average mortgage, I think, now is much higher than that. It's about the average mortgage we're talking about is around 220, I think.
So that'd be higher again.
So it'd be higher
33,
again.
34.
But if you start looking at some of these big mortgages, like if you have someone buying a house in Dublin today, 300,000 mortgage, 270,
they could be saving 60, 70,000 over the life. And that's after tax income, isn't it? So you've got to earn twice that, really.
You have to earn twice that to pay that.
So you've got to work for an extra year or 2 or 3 or whatever your income is to pay this bloody thing.
Like, this is huge. This is the big one. Like, if you did none of the other stuff and just went and checked your mortgage today, that's the thing to focus on. It's €1,500. I had 5 minutes left, so even though, again, I had to throw the financial advisor hat, the credit card is the one that really annoys me. Incredibly, 22%, 23% was the highest rate, 22.9% was the highest rate credit card you can get out there. Put this in perspective. If you have €1,000 on a credit card at 22.9% and you only pay the interest this year, that's €229 in interest you're going to pay this year. Now imagine if you have a 10 grand credit card, that's €2,290 that you're going to pay in interest. That's huge, massive, right? Now, one of the things you can do was, well, I wanted to keep it simple here. Keep it simple, the difference between what you were paying and what the cheapest is. 13.8% was the cheapest, which would have resulted in a saving for them of €136, and it took me 3 minutes to figure that out. Do you know the IRL thing? The 22.9% and the 13.8%, same bank.
Same bank, just different
cards, same bank. So overall we saved €2,050. It took me 58 minutes. I didn't cover a lot of stuff because I stopped at my hour, and I think we would have beaten last year if I had done it.
You saved
€2,050.
€2,050. You spent 58 minutes online looking at products that you were using anyway.
Yes.
Oh man.
Now you have to go off and implement, but we know that the stuff it's worth it.
Look, this is fantastic, and I am going to find out the name of that bank off air. But thank you so much. We'll talk to you again next week. That is Eoin McGee, our consumer expert. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money by anybody's stretch of the imagination.